going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and I know this is not a live show. This is a recorded video. Please make sure you subscribe here to the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. I'm going to be straight up with you. It is raining, thundering, and lightning near my house, near my home. I was trying to walk the dog and get it done before the rain. It did not happen. These are not the clothes that I started this day with because I got soaked, and we've already had the power go out a few different times, the internet go out a few different times, so I didn't want to chance it. Decided to record the video. My apologies, but we will be live following Saturday's preseason game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Denver Broncos, so please join us here. We'll have a discussion. We'll talk winners, losers, stock up, stock down. We'll also have a live Twitter Spaces if you want to hang out with some of our BTBers there. We'll also have a live Instagram Live. We've got a lot of things going on because it's football season, and obviously this is an important one for the Dallas Cowboys. We talked about that many different times. Last time you and I chatted was on Thursday following their joint practice with the Denver Broncos. Now, there was an interesting thing that happened, or really kind of didn't happen, and I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill here, but we talked on Thursday when we sat here live, and we noted the injury situation with the Dallas Cowboys. How tight end Ian Bunting and defensive tackle John Ridgway left the practice field. That's what all the reports on site noted. Not a big deal, obviously. No conspiracy theories there is what I'm saying, and we obviously hope they're feeling better and getting well. It doesn't seem like either of those are dramatic injuries as of this point in time, but we'll obviously see. Those are things that we'll just kind of wait for all the information on. But of all the injuries that were reported to have happened during Thursday's practice, there was one that really wasn't talked about, that may or may not even be an injury, but it was something that caught my eye. When I was doing some reading late Thursday night after Big Brother's not at all shocking eviction, I saw this at DallasCowboys.com, aka the mothership. It was a bunch of different bullet points talking about Thursday's practice, and this middle one, it reads, tight end Ian Bunting and defensive tackle John Ridgway both left practice early with apparent injury or conditioning issues. And the part that we've highlighted for you here, Tyron Smith also limped off the field towards the end of practice. The Cowboys medical team was still evaluating them all after the practice. So I'm not saying that this is a big deal. I'm not saying that, whoa, oh my gosh, everybody's hiding the Tyron Smith injury. That's not what I'm saying. But this wasn't talked about, and maybe it wasn't talked about because it was inconsequential, right? Maybe it wasn't talked about because it was no big deal. Maybe that's why it wasn't reported on in the same way that the Bunting and Ridgway injuries were. But this roster is at a place where we freak out, right, when anything happens regarding the stars, certainly involving a player like Tyron Smith, who has missed time every single regular season that Dak Prescott has been on this team. That is 6 years running now. Tyron Smith has not played a full regular season since 2015. And so we've all talked about this all offseason long, that it's really not a matter of if, unfortunately, but in all likelihood, a matter of when Tyron Smith gets hurt. And we've talked about the lack of depth behind him, the lack of a legitimate and true tried classic swing tackle option. We talked on Thursday about Josh Ball not having a great practice and how disconcerting that was, because the Cowboys are going to have to ultimately rely on their swing tackle in all likelihood at some point this season. And that just kind of speaks to, the way that this roster is built, the way that this roster is kind of, in this delicate place where they're kind of putting all their eggs on two things. They're putting all their eggs in two baskets. One is Dak Prescott saving them on offense, right? They got rid of Amari Cooper. They got rid of Lyle Collins. They didn't add any sort of reinforcements. They are banking on Dak Prescott being their hero. On defense, they're banking on being the exception. On defense, they're banking on no regression to the mean, which data supports is likely coming for them, at least from a volume and a production standpoint. They are banking on being the difference, and these are two difficult bets to make. I think that the Dak argument is kind of the frustrating one, right? Because we've watched this franchise kind of toil away a franchise quarterback in Tony Romo. And so why would you make that mistake again here? I thought friend of the show, David Hellman of Fox Sports, made this point very well on Friday. I'll let him set the stage.
I don't like the idea of betting against Dak Prescott. You can say what you want about what he's accomplished as a pro, but like that dude's story, I'm not going to bet against him. But I will say, I don't think the Dallas Cowboys are doing a whole lot to help their franchise quarterback, which I am completely flabbergasted by the attitude. It goes back to what we were talking about with Lamar Jackson. There's like this idea, right, that when you make money, that means it's like you're on your own. You got to just do this all by yourself. And it doesn't make any freaking sense. Like, it's absolutely insane to suggest that. And I think that's what the Cowboys are doing. I think the Cowboys are saying, we're paying you $40 million. You throw this stuff together with scraps and make it work. Meanwhile, and this is the one that I think about all the time, Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in football, right? The Kansas City Chiefs do everything in their power to help that guy. And before you bring up Tyreek Hill, yes, got too expensive, had to get rid of him. But look what the Chiefs have done the last 2 years. Pat got decimated in that Super Bowl. They didn't have an offensive line. They revamped the whole thing in one offseason. They go trade for Orlando Brown. They sign Joe Thuney. They draft Creed Humphrey. All of a sudden, their line looks great again. This year, they lose Tyreek Hill. They go get Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster. Yeah, like it's not Tyreek Hill, but they are throwing assets into it. The Cowboys re-signed Michael Gallup to their credit. He's going to miss like at least a month of the season, and they threw $700,000 at James Washington. Like it just doesn't matter. It doesn't add up. I don't understand it.
Are they betting against him then, or are they betting on him? Because if you give him that much money, you could say you're betting on him, not against him.
That is what people will say. I just think it makes for a convenient scapegoat when it doesn't work out. And again, and that's I bring up Mahomes to say a quarterback who's clearly better than Dak is getting more investment, and his team isn't making him do that. And so I'm sure they would say they are betting on Dak, but to me, it looks like they're setting him up to be a scapegoat.
I think the Chiefs are a great example. Kudos to Dave, one of the smartest people who covers the Dallas Cowboys and the NFL, life in general. Because it's true, right? A great point. Again, offensive line's weak. What do? They go all in on it. They reach a point where they have to trade away Tyreek Hill. So what do? They sign Juju Smith-Schuster. They sign Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They draft Sky Moore. They restock the shelf, so to speak. And we haven't seen the Cowboys really do that. I think another example, just if you're looking for one, if you're saying maybe the Chiefs are an exception, look at the Buffalo Bills. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, once they identified that Josh Allen was their guy, they went all in. They traded for Stephon Diggs. They signed Cole Beasley. On defense, they lost in the playoffs last year, by an inch. And they said, we're never going to let this inch be a thing again. We're going to pay for Von Miller. And yeah, who cares if we overpay? Because what if we win the Super Bowl? We don't care if we overpay. We're trying to win the Super Bowl. Who cares? We'll worry about the balance that this is going to have to be paid later. And so when you look at all of the players who the Cowboys have signed, and that's what you're looking at, this is a list of all of the external players who the Dallas Cowboys have signed since last season ended. I wrote about this on Friday at blogontheboys.com. Again, to be more specific, since the Cowboys lost to the San Francisco 49ers, these are all of the veteran free agents who they have signed, as in players who were on different teams last season. Lareem Hairula, who you can see that I've put, he technically counts in parentheses because he was on the Cowboys last year. He did wind up with the Carolina Panthers afterwards. But every one of these, so my point is we're not including Michael Gallup or Leighton Vander Esch, players who the team re-signed. Dave mentioned the Michael Gallup signing as well. So these are the only people who they have added. And again, we're talking about, this is all the way up until this point. Well, that's why the list includes Kevontae Turpin and Anthony Barr and Brett Maher. And I think you can make an argument that the most impactful players on this list are two of the final three signings. In Kevontae Turpin, he's come in and provided something on offense. We'll see if they use that continually. And Anthony Barr, granted he hasn't done anything, but we expect him to at least provide some flexibility for Micah Parsons and some depth. And so that's it. But James Washington's hurt. Dante Fowler Jr. hasn't flashed. Ryan Nall is inconsequential, no offense. Lareem Hairula, who has struggled. Christian Sam, Malik Jefferson, also somewhat inconsequential. And Brett Maher, we'll see. I mean, it isn't cut from the same cloth as the moves that the Chiefs and the Bills or the Rams, if you want to throw them in, have made. And so that's why, kind of coming back to this Tyron Smith thing, that was a really avoidable thing. You look at the Chiefs, right? Their offensive line is shaky. So what do? We got to refill everything. We got to make sure we're restocked. The Tyreek Hill trade, okay, we're down a receiver. We're going to, and they didn't just trade away Tyreek Hill and say, we'll just sign one of Juju Smith-Schuster or Marquez Valdez-Scantling, or we'll draft Sky Moore. No, they said, let's do it all. Let's get options. Let's have a number of people in here to make sure that we are prepped and we are ready in the event of different emergencies, which is why we applauded the Anthony Barr signing for the Dallas Cowboys, because that is of that variety. And so this tackle situation, it doesn't seem like it even is a situation, right? The Tyron Smith thing doesn't feel like it's something to worry about or be concerned about, but in all likelihood, it will be at some point this season, and that is a very predictable thing, and the Cowboys do not have a contingency plan in place. And so this underscores how important it was to get somebody in here as your smash glass in case of emergency option, because you're going to have to smash the glass. You're going to have to hit that panic button. It's just a matter of if. It's not a matter of when. And you know what? Just like the Buffalo Bills, if that if doesn't ever come, who cares? You were prepared anyway. Nobody is ever mad that they had a contingency plan in place and that it didn't get to be used. So, Yeah, we'll see. But we'll be live on Saturday night following the Dallas Cowboys preseason game against the Denver Broncos. So make sure to subscribe here and come hang out with us. My name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa, on TikTok at rj.ochoa. You can shoot me an email, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. You can always leave a comment down below. We'll get to those as well. Hope you have a great Friday night, great Saturday morning, great Saturday afternoon, and we will see you on Saturday night after the Dallas Cowboys score 500 points against the Denver Broncos.